Throughout the 19th century, this country had been obsessed with detailing what Mexicanness should be. These sculptures are a testament to the idealized native, motherhood after the revolution, unknown heroes, and the landscape itself as a source of pride and belonging. It departs from that school in 1937 that hoped to attract unrecognized talents to the practice of art. Mardonio Magaña and Romualdo de la Cruz are both good examples of that creative spirit the school aimed to elucidate. Some of these works are made in a peculiar rock found near volcanoes in Mexico. Recinto, that's how it is called. Henry Moore pinpointed at the Chac Mall long before his visit to Mexico in 1953. This reclining figure was particularly important as it directly opposes and breaks with the heroic canon of epic and triumphant statues. Geles Cabrera, among others, was greatly touched by this discovery. The vertical motifs seen here may immediately remind us of standing human beings, but they are not, they are merely symbolic. In sculpture, shapes are concepts, and the meaning behind these volumes cannot always be put into words or represent actual things. Many of the iconic works of Mexican modernity were, at once, both modern and anti-modern. There were two clear trends. The first, stemming from the plastic integration movement, aimed to reinstate the notion of architecture as art and Mexicanize international styles. The second, put forward by Luis Barragan and Matthias Geritz, suggested architecture's fundamental objective is emotion, not function. The physique and physiognomy of the local people are clearly evident in Francisco Zúñiga's treatment of the female form. He used drawing as a support for representing hundreds of variants of standing and seated figures. Their cloth he fuses with their bodies to create almost abstract forms. Matthias Geritz, painter, sculptor, architect, and aesthetics theorist, arrived in Mexico in 1949, where he remained until his death in 1990. Geritz played a critical role in designing the urban aesthetic and greatly influenced the development of contemporary art in Mexico. He worked mainly with metal and concrete, as can be seen in the famous towers of Satellite City, north of Mexico, where sculpture plays a role both as art and advertising. Has every sculpture has been developed for the highways? Yes. La Ruta de la Amistad, or Route of Friendship, was part of the cultural program for the 1968 Olympics. Consisting in 19 sculptures created along the peripheral beltway, it connected all the sporting facilities. Artists from all 5 continents created the works out of painted concrete. Matthias Geritz was at the helm of the project, and he also organized an international sculptures symposium. Kineticism, more than a movement in art, is movement itself. The artists who took part in this movement in Mexico went from working with matter to shaping energy. They exchanged paint brushes and chisels for screws and springs activated by engines. They assembled mirrors and prisms that transformed the beams of light and created penetrable environments. 10 times the size of Stonehenge and larger than Spiral Jetty by Robert Smithson, Espacio Escultórico is futuristic and ancestral, both a civic and a sacred site. In 2016, an 8-story building was erected within the university's campus, cancelling Espacio Escultórico as an aesthetic experience. Matthias Geritz referred to the center of the sculptural space as one of the great monuments of nothingness. Debate is alive in Mexico today on whether or not sculpture should conflict and supersede architecture.
But let us focus on the incredible sculpture garden for a while. This extraordinary landscape not only has a wide variety of flora and fauna, but you'll be able to appreciate more than 70 monumental sculptures created by several artists. As you can see, we're in the middle of the forest, where there is a high humidity and animals of all kinds. Therefore, the conservation of the works can get quite challenging. That's why, this year, around 36 sculptures will be restored by none other than the National Conservation Center, best known as Encropam. This center is managed by the federal government through the National Institute of Fine Arts and Literature, just like us. And I have to say that these guys are doing just an excellent job restoring these wonders. For example, we have a piece of amazing sculpture, Obi, by Ursua. And as you can see, they're running some tests regarding surface cleaning and varnish applications. But not all of the works can be treated equally. It all depends on the type of deterioration and manufacture of the object.
The garden has been taken care in such a way that you will end up asking yourself, which of these are sculptures, which of these are works of art, and what others are merely the gardener's charm. Given its peculiar shape, visitors have been calling that sculpture behind me El Barco, the ship. It was made by Manuel Felgueres in 1968, and it was supposed to be out there in the streets when Mexico City was hosting the 19th Olympic Games. But he ended up preferring El Barco, his abstract sculpture, to be here at the garden in Museo de Arte. Transparency was extremely an important idea for the architect of this museum. He wanted people to be able to see beyond the premises, as if the museum wasn't really there. In 1964, when the museum was first opened to the public, there were no boundaries, there were no limits between the garden of the museum, Chapultepec Park.
We're a pretty big group of people that currently work here. And to make things happen, we have to split up into several departments. So there are curators, designers, education, archive, library, collection management, international touring exhibitions, administration, security, ticket office, communication and social media management, and much, much more. But to talk about a bit more about what we actually do in the museum, I will now introduce you to Marlene Lelo de la Rea.
Hello, my name is Marlene Lelo de la Rea and I'm the head of the education department. Through this area, the museum fulfills its educational mission to connect with different audiences while facilitating meaningful experiences. In other words, in the education department, we love to share our passion for art and our own collection so that you become passionate about it too. But how do we do that? Well, through a variety of activities for people of all ages, interests, and abilities, for you to enjoy and learn, either from your visit to the museum or from the content that we create for you in social media and online platforms. In all of these activities and permanent programs, our core values are dialogue, collaboration, creativity, and inclusion. For example, what can Manuel Álvarez Bravo, one of Mexico's main photographers, whose collection we preserve here at the museum, teach us about photography, visual stories, and social media? Well, there is a workshop dedicated to it. Or, can we make more accessible some of the documents of Remedios Varo and Maria Izquierdo's archive? Yes, it is possible. As a result of another workshop, we published a series of digital fanzines with the collaboration of our audiences. Where we explore the archive with a feminist perspective. These are only two examples, but we organize other activities, such as summer courses or workshops twice a month, either for children, teens, and young audiences. We also have a close relationship with schools by offering guided tours in which the participation of students is of the utmost importance to explore the exhibits together, because everyone has interesting insights and interpretations about the artwork. We as well provide free teaching resources and workshops to strengthen the role of museums as places of learning, from art history facts to social emotional skills, as a place to observe and think, but also to feel and imagine. Furthermore, the museum is firmly convinced of its responsibility as an advocate of social inclusion. We aim to be a space where the different voices of our communities are heard and valued, where social justice and human rights are addressed. That is why we have permanent programs aimed to specific audiences, such as people with disabilities, the community of refugees, migrants, and asylum seekers in Mexico City, or the incarcerated population. In addition, we know that, for different reasons, not everyone can visit the museum. So we have a permanent program called El Museo Te Visita, the museum visits you, where we go to schools, children's shelters, nursing homes, and other places to guarantee that these people and their communities have access to culture. Likewise, our online activities connect people from all over Mexico and other countries to share, explore, have fun, and learn around art. As I said before, at the Museo de Arte Moderno, we love to share and create spaces to engage and facilitate dialogue with our different audiences. Because here, Everyone has something extraordinary to bring to the table.
Pandemics are times of uncertainty, but one thing remains clear: our paths shall meet again. Adios y gracias.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Ignacio El Real, Head of International Exhibitions at Museo de Arte Moderno. And as you can see, we're standing right in front of the main entrance of the building. The Museo de Arte Moderno, or Museum of Modern Art, was first built by the widely famous architect Pedro Ramirez Vázquez and inaugurated by former President Adolfo López Mateos in 1964, a time when the cultural scenario and multiple artistic expressions gained new relevance with the arrival of the modern era, just 4 years prior to the Olympics of 1968. This same year saw the birth of several other and really important museums, such as the National Museum of Anthropology, the Anahuacalli, whose building was designed by Diego Rivera, and the Museum of Natural History as well. Now, before moving forward with the importance of this particular museum, we need to talk about its location. Chapultepec Forest, also known as the Lung of Mexico City, is located in the heart of this city, and it's almost 1,700 acres long, so it's pretty big. The importance of this place resides not only in its cultural richness or recreational activities, but in the many historical events that have taken place. For instance, the establishing of one of the first pre-Hispanic settlements in the city more than 4,000 years ago, or the defense of the Chapultepec Castle during the North American intervention in 1847. And speaking of this, did you know that the Chapultepec Castle was built during the 18th century at the top of the Chapultepec Hill, and is the only royal castle on the continent? If you have visited Mexico City before, surely you will know what I'm talking about. Well, the Museo de Arte Moderno is located right between this castle, which holds the National Museum of History, and one of the most beautiful and historic streets in the country, Reforma Avenue. So you might wonder why this museum is so important. Well, let me tell you. We hold more than 3,000 objects between paintings, sculptures, engravings, photographs, drawings, textiles, and many more. Within our collection, you will find exceptional works from renowned muralists such as Diego Rivera, David Alfaro Siqueiros, and José Clemente Orozco. Also, works from María Izquierdo, Dr. Atl, Rufino Tamayo, and modern artists such as Vicente Rojo, Manuel Felgueres, Lilia Carrillo, José Luis Cuevas, Fernando García Ponce, among many others. And suppose you're a big fan of surrealism, just like me. In that case, you will be glad to find out that we are the home of one of the most significant collections of Remedios Varo, an exceptional painter beloved by the Mexican public. In case you were wondering, yes, of course we do have several works in the country, Las Dos Fridas, painted back in 1939. But it's not all about paintings hanging on the wall or sculptures standing on the floor. We have a vast archive, both historical and artistic, that also serves as a source for investigations and tons of books related to the art, artists, and exhibitions.
Monumental is an exhibition curated by artist Pedro Reyes, aiming to figure out what was the evolution of sculpture. Reyes claims there is a distinct craft Mexicans have been practicing for millennia in an attempt to shape their identity. Throughout the 19th century, this country had been obsessed with detailing what Mexicanness should be. These sculptures are a testament to the idealized native, motherhood after the revolution, unknown heroes, and the landscape itself as a source of pride and belonging. It departs from that school in 1937 that hoped to attract unrecognized talents to the practice of art. Mardonio Magaña Waldo de la Cruz are both good examples of that